The Hamas-Israeli situation. To all of you people calling for a ceasefire, did you know that there was a ceasefire? And do you know who broke it on October 7th? Hamas, when they came and invaded Israel and killed, murdered babies, beheading them, putting them into ovens, killing tourists, taking people hostage. And you want a ceasefire so that they can regroup, recalibrate, and do it again?
Are your people dead?
Sorry, you understand?
Are your people dead?
Yes.
Oh, good. Good. Are they dead? Oh, good.
There was a ceasefire. Hamas broke it. So to those of you who clamor for a ceasefire, you are basically asking for the destruction of Israel. Because all the other terrorists that are out there that wish for the destruction of the one tiny little Jewish state will see that as weakness and realize that they too can get away with it. And then the world will ask, ceasefire, ceasefire. And if the Israelis go along with it, that will be the end of Israel. And that is exactly what such people desire. Yes, I understand that there are some innocent Palestinians that are getting killed, but Israel goes out of its way to avoid doing so. They drop leaflets. They tell everybody to move south. They give them a human corridor. And to those of you who say that there's a genocide going on, if Israel wanted to genocide the entire Gaza Strip, it could vaporize it like that. But they don't. And for those of you who state that Israel is an occupation, that the occupation must end, as Barack Obama did yesterday. That is a false statement. Israel gave the entire Gaza Strip, evicted every single Jewish person there, gave Hamas 3,000 greenhouses so that they could be self-sustaining and grow their own food. And do you know what Hamas, the current government that runs the Gaza Strip, did with 3,000 greenhouses given as a gift? They tore them all down because it would be an insult to accept anything from the state of Israel because that would give it validity to exist. Hamas occupies the West Bank. If you want to talk about an occupation, it's the Hamas occupation that subjects its citizens to their own form of woke indoctrination. The same thing that's going on in the United States with the pro-Palestinian movement that is basically pro-Hamas, that believes that Israel doesn't have the right to exist. Israel exists, deal with it. That is the reality in this world. And these people in the Gaza Strip are being programmed to hate the Jews. And I've been to Syria, and in the old town Damascus, there is an Israeli flag on the ground. It's metal, and you are expected to step on it. They actively teach the hatred of Israel because it gives the citizens of these nations an enemy that is different than the state to go after, to put their negative energy into, and they can blame everything on Israel. And to those of you who are clamoring once again about the supposed genocide, which, as I stated, isn't happening, how come you aren't protecting the Houthis in Yemen, who have been, 100,000 of them have been killed in the war there? How about the Syrians, many Muslims that have been killed by Bashir Assad? What about that? Why aren't you going and organizing and complaining about the deaths of these citizens? It is because most of these people hate the Jews. They hate the fact that they're successful because leftism is basically collectivism. And we are grouping together against the oppressors. They want to turn the playing field upside down, and maybe a few of them are going to end up top. It's all about power. And the Jews, who are a tiny minority, are disproportionately successful. And that is the reason that the left hates Jewish people, because of their success. That's the reason that people on the far right hate them to a large degree. And they'll say, well, you know, George Soros this and the Jew conspiracy, etc. No, they have family values. They work hard. They're smart. And for these reasons, they are successful in the United States and all over the world and managed to turn Israel from a desert into a thriving country where they have irrigated desert lands and been able to grow vegetables and other fruits where there was no vegetation before. This is a credit to their ingenuity. And once again, the people that want a ceasefire immediately are advocating for the destruction of Israel. And they should know that, and hopefully this video educates them on that. There is no genocide, there is no occupation, as Barack Obama said. Once again, the entire Gaza Strip was given over to the Palestinian people, to the Arabs, and they elected Hamas, which has ruled them for 20 years and have essentially destroyed what could have been a metropolis, a beautiful area in the Mediterranean that would have gotten all sorts of support because of their ideology. And for those of you guys who are backing Hamas and claiming that you're just pro-Palestinian, most of these are just Hamas rallies. And these are the Hitler youth of today in the colleges that are telling Jewish people that they should not exist, or tearing down the flyers with abducted babies that have been taken hostage, missing people. These are prayers. That's what they are, that they come back to earth. And these hateful bigots don't recognize that, don't believe in their validity, don't believe in their right to exist, and pull them down. I can have sympathy for the Palestinians that the Israelis try to protect and say, we're going to bomb this. But I have no sympathy when Hamas violates international standards and uses ambulance to move around. And then they yell when they get blown up. Or when the New York Times and other leftist sources inform the public that 500 people were killed when Israelis dropped a bomb on a Gazan hospital. First of all, it didn't hit a Gazan hospital. It hit a parking lot, and it was proven that it was an Islamic Jihad rocket. And the New York Times just waited for the instructions for what to write for their leftist readers from Hamas and just wrote that down. Just Hamas propaganda. This is what you're dealing with today. Lies, lies, and more lies. There's no occupation. Hamas was the one who broke the ceasefire. And if Israel wanted to genocide the whole Gaza Strip, they could very, very quickly. And why don't all the other Arab nations take these Palestinians? No, they want the West to take these people that have very different values than our liberal traditions that are going to clash. I do not want a single Palestinian brought to the United States and injecting their ideology into our already suffering and divided nation. Hamas was the one who broke the ceasefire. We'll have peace when those murderers are brought to justice. Or maybe they should just give up and spare the Gazan citizens what's happening now.